The Right to Happiness: How to Write Stories to Change Your Brain and Your Life by Samantha Shad. Writing a story is a personal journey. Each story you create is an experience of writing to happiness. A writer can find both personal answers and universal insights by applying the craft of storytelling. To begin, identify the arena or setting for your story. The story's nub usually will be a subject that is bothering you. Conjure a main character with a goal, and imagine the obstacles he or she must overcome to achieve that goal. Then follow the basic rules of writing to happiness. Follow the rules of storytelling. Stories have a beginning, a middle and an end, a hero and villain, helper characters, hardships the main character must beat, and a theme. Stay focused. Tell a simple story. Don't let multiple characters and subplots distract you. Make friends with your subconscious mind. The essence of your story is within you. Let the words emerge, and you will find it. Finish the story with a real ending. No sudden inventions, heroes, or train wrecks. Your first draft is a car that can only go forward. Don't worry about making it better as you go. Write your entire first draft, without second-guessing or editing. Get to the end, and then review it. Typing isn't writing. Putting a million words on your screen accomplishes nothing. Choose your words with care. To create a process that changes your life, you must allow material simmering below your consciousness to come to light in a way that doesn't frighten you. Look for subconscious clues and follow them. Dig into research, or wait for a great idea to come to you while you're gardening, taking a walk, or daydreaming. Ideas come from many sources, including dreams, journaling, and meditation. Writers should ignore the directive to swat away thoughts that arise while meditating. The material that has to sneak up on you because you really don't want to deal with it right now is exactly the material you need to deal with right now. Create a main character who is like you, but not you. Maybe he or she is a little smarter, or dumber, or younger, with a different name. What does that character want? Explore your character to pin down specifics. Find the obstacle that stops your character from achieving his or her goal. Stories require conflict. The protagonist and antagonist you create represent opposing forces. Conflict adds drama. A character's internal landscape can define him or her as clearly as physical or objective attributes, and it dictates behavior. When you're building your story idea, flesh out the protagonist and antagonist. They will set up the central conflict. Other characters support them. The antagonist personifies the obstacles keeping your main character from reaching a heartfelt goal. The audience roots for the protagonist and must bond easily with him or her, or it, if your protagonist is an animal. Interview your character to uncover his or her motivations. Your protagonist will be someone who is broken in exactly the place where your story will challenge him or her. The human brain recognizes story patterns. Create a structure that lets others enjoy your story and learn from it. If your story structure is off, people won't follow it. Your story must have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Movies follow a 3-act structure. Act 1 introduces the main character and lays out the situation. Something big happens to send the hero on his or her journey in Act 2, when the hero faces obstacles, confronts the antagonist, and, after ups and downs, is in utter despair. In Act 3, the hero revives after seeming defeat to face the biggest conflict and prevail. Put the major events of your story in the order you think is best. Screenwriters use a beat sheet to lay out the events in a story. Each beat changes the way the tale unfolds or changes the main character. Put your beats on index cards to make them easy to rearrange. Now, write through your first draft to the end, without second-guessing or editing. In the 1990s, researchers found that expressive writing could be therapeutic. Psychologist James Pennebaker urged his clients to spend 20 minutes daily for 4 days writing about something traumatic or emotional. For 2 days, he suggests, you should write about the experience. On the 3rd day, write about the event from a different perspective so you can explore how it affected you and your life. On the 4th day, reflect on your writing and encapsulate the event into a memorable story. When considering your work, notice whether you use more negative or positive words. Positive words lead to a more optimistic perspective. As you shape your story structure with cause and effect moments, You gain insight about how to avoid pain in the future. You build hope. Pennebaker found that people who completed his expressive writing experiment had fewer illnesses over the following 6 months. As researchers experimented with expressive writing, positive results stacked up. The exercise boosted immune systems, helped reduce pain in cancer patients, relieved stress, and led to lower blood pressure. This exercise helps those who are comfortable with writing more than it does those who aren't, and it supports those seeking change. However, it didn't help veterans suffering from PTSD or victims of childhood abuse. For them, it made things worse. What helps non-writers is the shaping and reshaping of the story, something fiction writers do naturally, to tease out meaning. Researcher Timothy Wilson developed techniques to tap into unconscious narratives through writing. In story editing, people start with expressive writing techniques, but redirect their narratives for lasting positive change. Story prompting nudges subjects to look more positively at their narratives. For instance, instead of telling the story that you did poorly on a test because you're a failure, substitute the idea that if you study more, you'll improve your grade. It's more hopeful. Your future grades are more in your control. Keep a gratitude journal in which you list 10 things you feel grateful for each day. Write about your perfect future and outline the steps you took to get there. This tells you where to start to change your behavior. Read fiction to stimulate your creativity, reduce stress, and keep your mind agile. It improves your relationships because it boosts empathy. As pilots safely practice flying in a flight simulator, writers can practice real-world skills in the simulated setting of story writing. When people sleep, they create scenarios and tell stories in their dreams, the ultimate simulation space. Dream stories feature you as the hero, meeting obstacles. Something similar occurs when you write fiction. In a story, you're the protagonist. You order events in a way that makes sense to you. Other characters help you reframe situations, empower you within those circumstances, or challenge you to uncover deeper meaning. By explaining events to your readers, you explain them to yourself. Social science approaches may fall a bit short for you. If so, the remedy is to go big. For scholar Joseph Campbell, the point of living was to be fully alive. He discovered the hero's journey, the basic structure of heroic stories since antiquity. The archetype hero, who is an innocent at the beginning of the story, goes forth and faces a series of trials until an ultimate ordeal tests his ability to transform into a stronger, wiser being. Pay attention to how you solve problems and bring your hero through your story's challenges. Stories are how humans understand life, synthesize experiences, and learn. They are powerful because they arise organically from deep within the brain. Daydreams, music, the daily news, personal narratives, and gossip, stories, make up most people's days. Sports and religion offer their own sagas. People live in Storyopolis because that's how they understand life, synthesize experience, and learn. Stories deliver messages or useful information in a compelling way. Narratives transfer knowledge. When we dream, we present ourselves with versions of real-world problems, and our brains fire neurons in a pattern or network that embodies reactions to these challenges. We practice and learn optimal reactions to actual threats. Brain cells called neurons communicate information electrochemically through networks in the brain. When neurons fire in a specific pattern, it relates to a particular bit of information. People have around 100 billion neurons, each making up to 10,000 connections and constantly firing. The sympathetic branch of your nervous system reacts with fight or flight neurotransmitters if it senses danger. The parasympathetic branch runs oversight on physical systems like digestion and makes adjustments if necessary, for instance, in response to danger. When you're under stress, your hypothalamus sends out adrenaline to make you alert. Cortisol levels rise to prepare you ready to respond. When you formulate a story, your brain also releases cortisol, which grabs your attention like a fast-paced, suspenseful opening scene. Next comes a sense of reward fed by dopamine. This heightens engagement. If you bond with a character, you might generate oxytocin, which heightens connection. The brain's amygdala harnesses strong emotions to turn moments into memories. This is the same brain that dreams. A lot of processing isn't conscious, and it's up to the conscious part to figure out what may be going on subconsciously. The rules of fiction give you rational tools that weren't available to you when real-life traumas happened. The idea of memory as a vault of experiences in the brain is an illusion. The brain creates past and present reality on the fly. Memories are mutable. People can change their minds by changing their brains. Repetition and training influence neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to learn. If you don't repeat new behaviors or skills as the brain rewires changes, they won't stick. With persistence, you can rewire your neural pathways. Neuroplasticity is your brain's way of growing your knowledge, adjusting your behaviors, toning your mental muscles, and staving off the degeneration of your mind. It is what changing your life looks like in your brain. Mental rehearsal, and even dreaming can amplify the new connections you want to make. In effect, writing is applied neuroplasticity. By focusing on your story until you resolve your character's problems, you rewire your brain for the solution. When you daydream, the brain switches to the default mode network, which imagines scenarios. When you're doing nothing, the brain's default mode network, DMN, a sort of low-power mode, engages. You activate it when you read. Writing creatively also activates the DMN as well as other conscious networks which manage your story and its parallels in your personal history and social thinking. When you watch someone else do something, the brain's mirror neurons activate as if you were the one doing it. They explain empathy. Movies change between objective and subjective points of view so viewers can experience how the characters feel. When friends talk and truly listen, their neural circuits synchronize. A story engages their brains so much that their minds meld. Humans depend on seeking patterns and telling themselves stories to find meaning. The brain uses patterns to reconstitute a memory. Superior pattern processing forms the brain's basis for communication and, ultimately, progress. The brain's interpreter sorts massive sensory input, figures out what to keep, and condenses information to fit in patterns for easy recall. It creates patterns out of random stimuli and convinces you that these patterns exist. The organizing left brain fills missing information with plausible, though not necessarily true, information. Your brain turns information into stories. As people who are writing for happiness, we are writing alternatives to our pre-existing, already embedded pattern. When a story absorbs you, it changes your perspective and behavior. Writers inhabit the mind of a character to decide what he or she will say and do. Then they inhabit the mind of another character to see a reaction or a more objective perspective. Writers experience obstacles from multiple perspectives, and that changes them. As writers engage their whole brains, they increase their neuroplastic capacity, and that helps them learn and grow. Takeaways. Writing a story is a personal journey. Stories require conflict. The protagonist and antagonist you create represent opposing forces. In the 1990s, researchers found that expressive writing could be therapeutic. As pilots safely practice flying in a flight simulator, writers can practice real-world skills in the simulated setting of story writing. Stories are how humans understand life, synthesize experiences, and learn. They are powerful because they arise organically from deep within the brain. The idea of memory as a vault of experiences in the brain is an illusion. When you daydream, the brain switches to the default mode network, which imagines scenarios. Humans depend on seeking patterns and telling themselves stories to find meaning. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.